The Houston Rockets have started out the 2021-22 season with a horrendous record of 1-16. And if you do the math, the Houston Rockets are on track to only have 5 wins this season, which is the worst record in NBA history by far. So why have the Houston Rockets been so terrible this season? Well, that's what we're going to be looking at today, so let's get right into it. In the draft this season, the Houston Rockets selected a great guard in Jalen Greene, who has incredible hops and can shoot from deep range. But he's clearly just a highlight maker and a stats guy because he is not making his team any better. The Rockets currently have a winning percentage of 59, which is the worst in NBA history by far. The season started off pretty good, with the Houston Rockets winning their first game to the Oklahoma City Thunder by a mere 30 points, but things went downhill from there, and now they have lost 15 games in a row. And you can see why it's not good in Houston, because the Rockets' top scorer is averaging just 15.5 points per game, and that is Christian Wood. Jalen Greene and Alperen Sengun are fun to watch and are great rookies, but they're clearly not helping their team win, as the Houston Rockets are the worst team in the NBA. Kevin Porter Jr. is having an awful season from his standard because he is only averaging 13 points per game, and I thought he would really be a leader on the Rockets this season, but I guess I was wrong about that. Jalen Greene is in the Rookie of the Year race, averaging 14.2 points a game, but it doesn't look like he's going to win it considering how bad his team is. But all these bad stats are creating horrible vibes for the Houston Rockets. But how did we get here in the first place? Let me refresh your memory. To summarize it all up, once Harden got traded to Brooklyn, the Houston Rockets could not contend because they had no other stars on the team at the moment, so they decided to rebuild. And because most of their players are under the age of 25 years old right now, you can tell why they are playing horribly. Of course, I don't think this is going to happen, but the Houston Rockets have a chance of only winning like 3 games this season. And a lot of people actually believe that the Houston Rockets are one of the worst teams in NBA history, and I think so as well. Honestly, if you look at the Houston Rockets, you don't really see any prominent names, and you don't see any All-Stars, and I don't think the Houston Rockets are going to have any All-Stars this year, considering they are so bad. I mean, listen to this team's roster. Christian Wood, Jalen Greene, Sean Tate, Alperen Sengun, Kenyon Martin Jr., Daniel Tice, David Nwaba, DJ Augustine, Eric Gordon, Kevin Porter Jr., Armani Brooks, Josh Christopher, Daniel House, Usman Garuba, Garrison Matthews, John Wall, and Daishen Nix. To give you an idea of how bad the Houston Rockets are this season, they have played the Detroit Pistons and New Orleans Pelicans already, and they could not seem to figure out how to win against those two teams. And when that happened, I said, wow, this team really is trash. The only positive thing about the Houston Rockets this season is that they'll probably get the number 1 pick, so they'll probably choose Chet Holmgren or Jaden Hardy as the first pick in the draft because they have been the worst team in NBA history so far. And shout out to AJ Analysis. I feel you, man. The Houston Rockets are so bad. AJ Analysis is a Houston Rockets fan, so yeah. Another player for the Houston Rockets is Sean Tate, who was mainly known last season for getting thrown a ball at from James Harden, but Sean Tate is actually a pretty good player aside from being famous for getting a ball chucked at his head, and he has been putting up some great stats. But maybe the Houston Rockets can turn it around this season and win the NBA championship like they did in 1995. I'm just kidding. Sorry, Rockets fans that are watching this video, but I literally couldn't help myself with that joke. Another thing that has made the Houston Rockets suck is one of their best players has been out the entire season, as John Wall has not played a single game for the Houston Rockets, and John Wall is in trade talks, which is just going to make the Houston Rockets even worse as a team collectively. But I have a feeling this is going to be a Sam Presti situation for the Houston Rockets like it is with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're going to have a chance to rebuild, and Tillman Fertitta will be the next Sam Presti. Fertitta is going to be getting draft pick after draft pick in the next few seasons, and Houston is slowly going to build a super team in the NBA. But for now, the Rockets are a huge dumpster fire of garbage. And in my opinion, the craziest thing about this season for the Houston Rockets is that they have not yet fired coach Stephen Silas, even though he is the main reason why the Houston Rockets are so bad, considering he has barely any NBA coaching experience, because he has only coached one season with the Houston Rockets, and that has led to misery in the Houston Rockets organization. Since James Harden left Houston, this team has been absolutely horrible, and I can't see a scenario where the Houston Rockets make the playoffs in even the next 5 to 10 years. When you look up the Houston Rockets on the internet and go to news, you will barely find anything, and the things you will find are articles about why the Rockets should fire Stephen Silas, and that's because there is no legitimate news from the Houston Rockets franchise. And that's because they're 1-16, the 15 seed in the Western Conference. The Rockets are about to play the Bulls in 30 minutes, and I really don't expect them to win this game, considering the Houston Rockets are the 15 seed in the West, yet the Chicago Bulls are looking like a playoff team in the Eastern Conference, and it's going to be a miracle if they pull off a win versus the Chicago Bulls. And that video was about how the Houston Rockets are going to be the worst team in NBA history at the end of this season. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Click subscribe, turn notifications on, like, share, comment, all the good stuff. And as always, I'm your boy Hyper Hooper Basketball, and we're out.